Hey, this is Mike. In part 1 of C++ single dimensional arrays, I showed you how to create an array of floats of size 10 and use a for loop to load it up. And the crowd went wild. However, there were some limitations to this method. What if we don't have 10 grades? So in part 2, I'm going to show you how we can change this for loop into a while loop and just input as many numbers as the user wants, up to our size. Check it out. So in part 2, we pretty much have the same players. If we come down here, we still see we have the same array called float grades of size 10. And instead of using a for loop, we're going to use a while loop to either let the user input grades until we hit our size limit, or the user enters -1. So we've got one more player, and this player is to keep track of how many grades the user has actually typed in. So let me just show you the program to start with. Let me come up here and hit the local debug, start the program running. And as you can see, it says, please enter a grade, enter -1 to quit. So let's put in some highly valuable grades. We'll just put in 3, and then I'm going to hit -1. And then all the program's going to do is print out the results. So you see, we input 3 grades, and then we said -1 to say quit. And then we have a for loop that loops 3 times because that's how many times the user input, and that will end the program. Right now I've got a breakpoint. I can just tell it to continue, and the program will get to the point where it says press any key to close this window. So let's take a look at our input loop and see how this works. Well, the first thing you're going to notice is before we even get into the loop, we're going to ask the user for the first input. And one of the nuances, of course, is we say int number of grades +1. So we say please enter grade number 1 instead of please enter grade number 0. And then we're going to input the grade they type into float in grades. Now, our conditions for staying in the loop is while the user has not input -1 and the number of grades that have been input is less than size. Because remember, an array goes 0. If it's size 10, the array goes 0 to 9. We don't have a 10th slot in the subscript of the array. Now, once we get past that, we have not seen a -1, and we're less than 10, then this line right here actually puts the grade into the array at position whatever. So the first time through the loop, it's going to put it into the array at position 0, and then we have to say ++ on int number of grades because now we have 1 grade. Now, because of a quirk, because of a nuance here, to make sure we don't ask the user to please input a grade when we've hit size 10, I have to have this if statement, and I'm only going to ask for the next input if we're less than the size of the array. So if int number of grades is less than size, then we're going to ask for the next grade and just put it into our float variable, and then we'll come back up to the top of the loop, put it into the array, add 1 to our count. If we didn't have this right here, I'll show you in a minute. Let's run the program. I'm going to run the program, and I'm going to completely fill up the array. The array is size 10, so let's see if the program acts correctly. Now, you've already seen it act correctly when we just input less than 10 items. I inputted 3 items. Here, to make it easy, I'll put in the numbers 9. So I put in 1 through 9. There should be 1 more slot in the array. This should be the last time it asks me for a grade because we've hit our size. It gets out of the input loop, it hits the output loop and prints out all the grades correctly. So now you can see everything is working the way we want. But we had to add that extra. I'm on my breakpoint right here. I'm going to tell my program to continue so it will finish. And we had to add this if statement to take care of an edge condition. So let me show you what happens if we don't have this if statement. All right, so I've taken out the if statement. So at the top of the loop, we're putting the previous input into the array, and then at the bottom of the loop, we're asking for the next input. So this way, if they type in -1, it'll come right back up to the top, and we'll see the -1 and get out of the loop. The other thing that will get us out of the loop is if we exceed our size. Now, if we watch the program run, two cases here, we've got a test, and this is an example of wanting to use good test data. So if I just put in 3 grades here and put in a -1 for the 4th grade, saying I want to get out of the loop, and I go back and look at my output, everything print out right. We have 3 grades. If I come here and look at float grades, if I look at it in the debugger and open it up, you'll see we have the 100 in position 0, the 90 in position 1, and the 80 in subscript 2, and the rest of the array is just garbage. So everything worked right. Now where we get into problems with this is when we completely fill up the array. So I'm going to run the program again, but this time I'm going to put in 10 numbers, causing a border condition to happen. So let's see if I can accurately type in all this data without making a typo. And I did! Now the array is full. There is no room for an 11th grade, but it's asking me for an 11th grade. Now, whatever I type in, it's not actually going to put it into the array. If I go look at float grades and open it up, you'll see I just have 10 grades, but it asked for this input right here, even though we had hit 10. So at the top of the loop is when it catches it. So having that if statement around here prevents it from asking for this last input. Because a program that is loading up an array of 10 elements should not ask for element number 11. So that's why I have to have an if statement around this, and I'm just trying to keep the code as simple as possible for beginning students. So I'm going to end the program here, and I'm going to undo my code changes and go back to having my if statement in here, but I'll do that off camera. All right, through the wonders of using edit, undo, shortcut key Control Z, I backed all my changes out. And one thing you'll notice here is there's a yellow bar right here which says all this code has been changed but not saved. So I'm going to come up here to save all and save all my changes. Now, this prevents it from asking for grade number 11. So now if I run the program and bring it on screen here, come on, you can do it. Please enter grade 1. Let's put 10 grades in again, and we'll see if I can successfully type in the numbers 1 through 10 without making a typo. And once again, I have succeeded. Now you see it exited the loop without asking for grade number 11. And I do indeed have 10 elements in the array. And I can look at that here by putting my tooltip over the array and hitting the triangle right here to open it up, or I can come down to my automatic variables and open it up right here and see that I have 1 through 10, and they are stored in subscripts 0 through 9. So that is why we need this if statement right here to protect asking for the next grade. We only want to ask for the next grade if we're smaller than our size. So if int num grades has got to 10, because my constant is 10, it will not ask this because it has to be less than size. And then finally, we have the same for loop where we go from 0, x starts at 0, but now we're not saying less than size. In the first program, we always asked for 10 grades no matter what. In this program, we only asked for as many grades as the user wanted, or until we got to 10. So the way we wrote that condition was, while the user has not entered -1 and the number of grades that have gone into the array is less than size, keep going, because that's what we want. So now we have a program that is much more flexible because it only enters as many grades as the student has at this point in the semester. As soon as you type in -1, it quits, but it also does not let it go past the end of the array and march off into memory, which is a problem you can have with C++ and the C language. It does not protect you from getting out of bounds of your array because we can, since my size is 10, my array is 0 to 9. And that's going to do it for part 2 of C++ single dimensional arrays. In the third part, I'm going to show you how to total up an array and get the average of a group of numbers in the array, and also find the maximum and minimum, which are very common types of tasks that your professor may want you to do in a first semester C++ class. So that's gonna do it for part 2. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe and hit that bell so you can get notification of the next video on first semester C++ single dimensional arrays. Thanks a lot.